Welcome to Backyard Bayou. This is gonna be a really fun series where we get together and I show you some really traditional Southern recipes that you can put your own flair on, and I'm gonna show you how I put my own flair on them. My own flair on them. On today's episode, I'm gonna show you a base hush puppy recipe, and I'm gonna put my own spin on it with an armadillo egg sort of vibe. If you don't know what an armadillo egg is, down south, we do a little thing where we stuff jalapenos with cream cheese, wrap those in bacon, smoke them, wrap them in sausage, and then deep fry them. So we're gonna do our own little version of that. All right, let's get started. First step, grab our bowl here. Got a few cups of flour. Don't worry, there's gonna be a recipe. Got all of my seasonings mixed together with my baking powder. You do not want baking soda for this because it won't work. I think fine cornmeal works a little bit better with this recipe. This is also the recipe that I use for Bayou on the Bay, which is our business. I do like Southern Cajun food in Sebastopol, California. And this is our base recipe for our hush puppies. You can also use Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 replacement flour if you want to make it gluten-free. You want to get your baking powder really well mixed in with everything too, because if it clumps up, then your hush puppies aren't going to rise like you want to at all. Make sure it's all combined. That is for later. For now, just stick with the base. This is a local chorizo bacon. This is actually going to go into my dip that I'm making for the hush puppies. The dip that's going to accompany these is going to be a bacon and jalapeno cream cheese dip. And we are going to put sausage and jalapeno into the hush puppy. So it's kind of like you get the best of both worlds for the armadillo egg. I'm just gonna render off this bacon. This recipe also calls for butter, but if you are doing something with a bacon addition, you can also just render the bacon fat and use that in place of butter. I'm a big crispy bacon fan myself. You can obviously cook this down to however you'd like. At the end of the day, it's crispy or die, baby. This is Turbo. He's currently chasing a bird and bacon, so. He's my trusty little Bayou dog, keeps us safe. I think I'm gonna go ahead and use bacon fat instead of butter for my fat. So while that bacon is finishing off, I'm gonna get my eggs into this mixture here. You can create it well if you want to. You don't have to. It's not necessary. And by well, I just mean making a little divot in the flour in the middle so all the eggs kind of pool in the middle. Some people swear you need to whip the eggs before you make the hush puppies. I've never had an issue with just fully incorporating them into the mix without whipping them. One of my first kitchens, I got yelled at so hard for not cracking eggs with 2 hands at a time. So just to prove that I can still kind of do it. There you go, 2 hands. For those of you who don't know, I was actually on the last season of Hell's Kitchen, season 24. I got to represent Louisiana in the Battle of the States. So that's a little bit more about the Bayou background there. I like to get my egg incorporated in there for the most part first, before adding my stock. This is just plain old chicken stock and our fat. Should be a 1/2 cup of bacon fat, and that is that chorizo bacon. That looks delicious. Oh, it smells delicious. Once we get that going, make sure all of that dried flour and cornmeal gets off the walls of the bowl and incorporated in there. You don't want chunks. You don't want dry chunks. You don't want wet chunks. You want this all to mix really, really well. You're looking for a consistency that kind of falls off in chunks like that. Shouldn't be too thin, but it shouldn't be much thicker than this. That is the base recipe for the hush puppies. From here, you can throw in broccoli and cheddar. You can throw in corn. You can throw in bacon and apples. You can throw whatever you want into this to make whatever flavor of hush puppy you can imagine. Truly, this base will do it all. Just don't overload it. We're also gonna make a bacon cream cheese dip that's gonna really give that vibe of the armadillo egg. Basically, when we serve these at our pop-up, I do a Bayou remoulade. It's got like capers, hot sauce. You can serve hush puppies plain like this with butter on the side of fish. I mean, really, they go with just about anything. They're not typically seen as a side dish, more of like toast, if you will. But I think that with the right flavor, hush puppies are a great side. Shout out to the best stop, Cajun Foods. Got some Louisiana certified smoked chicken sausage here that we're gonna throw in this bad boy, straight from the Bayou. Oh man, that looks amazing. I'm stoked to try this. The other trick here is when you're putting things into your hush puppy batter, you wanna make sure that they are not too chunky. Sausage directly into those hush puppies. If you're gonna do jalapenos at home, do them however you like. Just be careful, wash your hands, don't touch anything afterward. I'm gonna go whole on some of these because I want a little extra kick. So now we've got our jalapeno and our sausage in here. That's gonna be delicious. I didn't follow my own rule about being too chunky because there's like huge pieces of jalapeno in there, but you can still see how it maintains that consistency. If you put too much stuff in the hush puppies after the base, it's gonna get too thick. Don't overload it. From there, we are going to make our cream cheese dip. So you got all the elements of the armadillo egg there. You got the jalapeno that normally gets stuffed with cream cheese, and then it gets wrapped in bacon that's going into the dip, and then it gets wrapped in sausage, which is in the hush puppy, and it gets fried. So we're gonna wrap it up with that as well. So this cream cheese has been softening. You absolutely wanna make sure it gets to room temp first. And do a little plop of sour cream in there as well. Probably 2/3 cream cheese, 1/3 sour cream. Get that a nice mix. If you have a stand mixer at home, you can also just whip this together. Now you want to put whatever you want. I love Tony's. Do whatever you like, but Tony's is a great addition, especially to anything Southern or Bayou or Cajun or Creole. They cover it all. Crispy bacon. Get that all incorporated in here. This dip will last, but I like to eat it quick because the bacon gets kind of soggy after it sits in the cream cheese and sour cream for so long. I can give you a taste. Will you tell me how it is? I think he likes it. The trick to frying at home, you always need a thermometer. You always want to keep your oil at 350. To try not to go over, try not to go under, because if you go under, you're gonna have floppy hush puppies. They're gonna cook fine, but they're gonna be floppy. If you get it too high, they're gonna be nice and crispy on the outside and goo and undercooked in the middle. I know, seed oils are the worst thing in the world, blah, blah, blah. Here we are. It's organic. Word to the wise, always keep your workstation clean. I never listen to myself, so do as I say, not as I do. But also do as I do. Another noteworthy thing about this recipe is this will only last for about 2 days in the refrigerator because baking powder loses its effect. So after it's been mixed in here, it's not gonna do the same thing. So if you try to make these 3-4 days later, not gonna work. Yes, I very much know this from personal experience. Once that hits 350, I'm gonna turn it down slightly so it doesn't keep getting too hot. But once I drop my hush puppies, if the temperature goes down, then you wanna crank it again. Now that we've hit 350 degrees, I turn my flame down slightly, and then we're just gonna drop these. If you have like an ice cream scoop at home, you're more than welcome to use one of those. You can also just eyeball it. I go about 2 tablespoons, 2 heaping tablespoons worth of dough at a time. If you keep it at 350, you want to cook those for 6 minutes. So I have the temperature still creeping up a little bit above 350 here, but I'm keeping it right at about 350. And these have been in for a couple minutes now, and you can tell they're not too brown on the outside, and they're gonna be cooking perfectly on the inside with that crispy crust on the out. Oh, I'm really excited to bite into that sausage and the jalapeno at the same time. All right. Don't do this into your hand at home. It's a disclaimer right here, I'm telling you. Don't do this into your hand at home. Got our cream cheese and bacon dip. for our hush puppies. We've got our perfectly crispy hush puppies. Hush puppies. That's hot. That's how you make hush puppies any way you want with whatever dip you want. Let's give them a try. Packed with bacon and jalapeno. A little piece of jalapeno fell off. Mmm. Oh. Okay. Uh-huh. Well, that's good. Whoa. It feels like a healthier armadillo egg. You don't have as much oil saturated in there. You still get that juicy sausage. You still get the spice of the jalapeno. That cream cheese dip really mellows it out though and cools things down. 10 out of 10, you gotta try this. It's super easy. You don't even have to do this version. You can just make the base. It doesn't matter. Make them however you'd like. But these hush puppies are the move. Hope you enjoyed this one. See you next time on Backyard Bayou. Ooh.